Joey the Blind Panther says, I think Tony might be late. He might have had to run and go grab more beer.
Pretty much. That's actually true.
Yeah.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, 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 it's election night, folks. Panther Nation election night. That's right. We're a nation of fans. Sometimes we're divided. Sometimes Cam Newton's your savior. He was our savior. Maybe he's not anymore. Now you may be a Teddy Bridgewater fan. At one point, I was ready to elect Dave Gettleman for president. And guess what? That was a terrible vote on my part. So tonight, as election night unfolds and the rest of the world is discombobulated over, rightfully so, I guess, American politics, whatever your side, leaning left or right, tonight is about North and South Carolina coming together in Panther Nation, voting in many ways, in one voice, one way, for Panther fans together. And you're going to do that with your homeboys. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, and I'm here with my man, Cody Lashney. Election night, Cody. Big, big, big deal.
Tony Dunn, you know, every time you introduce me on this show, I say there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than talking some Panthers football with my boys. And let me tell you, man, especially during the midst of this election, that reigns truer now more than ever, baby. I think it's a sad state of affairs in America. But, dude, this is not an election political podcast. We're here to talk about the Carolina Panthers, damn it. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube, man. We've got C, Tin Tizzy, Trill One, my cousin, Chef Jeff, Joby the Blind Panther Esquivel, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
It's very fitting that we're having this podcast tonight because we've done it every Tuesday for over 8 years now. And my wife said this to me today. She said, man, it sucks. Every election, like presidential election, because 2016 was the one she was referring to. And now it's election Tuesday. It's voter Tuesday, right? And she's like, hey, you got to do this show. I'm trying to watch all this with you and this and that. But I think it's apropos. And the reason I say it's apropos is, as someone who is, I'm not going to push any political agenda because I don't even have one. I have refused to have political opinions at this point in my life. But I started the C3 Panthers podcast and CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I tell you, this is a true story, man. True story. Is that I was arguing with family members. I was a big Barack Obama fan. Like, I mean, look, I saw him speak in 2008. I was all caught up in all of it. Yes, I was ready. Changed the world, 28 years old, ready to make this new world together, this type of thing. And so I was arguing and talking and what I thought was being productive in society with, like, my family members, with people I knew. And I was spending hours doing it, and I was yelling. I was getting furious. I was like having to take a damn Valium at the end of the night to get past it. And I said, this is too much for me. It's not healthy. I want to spend my creative activity and do something different and yell about the Falcons. Like, that's the one thing we can all agree on. The Falcons suck a big, giant dick. And so I was able to channel that aggression into sports because I thought, hey, I can yell at these people, they can yell at me, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? And that's what, to me, the C3 Panthers podcast and sports is ultimately about, is us being able to have a fun, a creative outlet in a way that is healthy. Sadly, I won't say sadly, but to the backdrop of reality, the world is changing amongst us. So tonight is election night, and I've decided that we will be electing. We're going to be voting on some things. We're going to be voting on some of the best things, some of the ministers or presidents we want to be part of Panther Nation. Anyway, that's why we're
I'm
here.
voting for Kanye. I don't care if that's a choice.
He's not on the ballot. He's not on the ballot. He wasn't a Panther. He wasn't a Panther. You can vote for Greg Hardy instead.
I'm voting for Kanye.
You're going to vote for Greg. All right. Greg, man of many podcasts, Bat Daddy 52. Let me tell you this. The new episode of Mandalorian sucked.
Oh, really?
It was horrendous. I couldn't get past first 20 minutes.
It wasn't that bad.
I was going to say that.
It was so... Have you watched it yet? Am I spoiling it
I
for
watched
you?
it. I podcasted about it and everything, man. I thought it was great.
It was so cheesy.
Yeah?
I thought it was
cheesy,
basically just
bro.
a repeat of the first episode of the first season. Like, it pretty much did all the same beats, kind of.
The acting, the lines, the writing was as cheesy. They might as well have made Jar Jar Binks the star of the new Mandalorian. Greg, man of many podcasts, welcome back to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Thanks, Ben. Always great to be back. It's funny. You're the first person I've heard with that take on it. I haven't found many people that didn't like it, but then again, it may just be the crowd that I run with. But interesting take. But yeah, man, awesome to be here Tuesday night. Like you said, election night. I didn't know we were going to be doing some voting, so I'm interested to see what this is about. Do some voting.
We got CK in the house. Tin Tizzy said, "Nope, Tony gotta go." What's he talking about? Right in Joe. Oh, he likes Joe Rogan. What's up, CK? Living the dream. Found it.
I just about ready to wake up to a world on fire. Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the day after. I don't know. It depends upon how all of this craziness works out and whatnot. I went to the polls. What was really interesting today, I went to go vote today, and you know how big of a line I had to wait in? None. There was not a single person there.
Same for me. I voted today as well.
Not a single person was there. And I went pretty early. And so I thought maybe it was just, a fluke. No, I heard the woman that was actually running the polls. She was talking to somebody. She's like, I guess everybody got their vote in early. And I'm like, I can guarantee you a lot of people did not get their vote in early. I know when it came to
no, you don't live in Virginia. You live close to the line, though. Oh, yeah. All right. So you do live in Virginia, technically.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was Rhino Rapids for some reason.
No, but I always think, I thought that was quite interesting. And so I wonder if that's indicative of the turnout that we'll find across the country, because I felt like this election would be one of the best turnouts that has ever happened.
Well, that's what they say. They say it's like a record turnout.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to see that. I think the Obama first election was probably going to be a hard one to beat, because he was the first one that I think was able to energize a youth base, as far as that's concerned. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Ready to wake up to the world burning, to, everybody making excuses as to why their candidate didn't win, and then talking about moving to another country, just like it happens every year.
Whenever your political party starts pointing fingers, remember you always have 3 fingers pointing back at you.
Well, you know who says that the best is Cam Newton. He says, I don't point fingers, I point thumbs. That's what Cam Newton says. Hey, look, is that the presidential election is careening to whatever, corruption, awesomeness, debate, whatever you think it is, but you can actually bet on the presidential election. You can. Yeah. You can go to mybookie.ag. You can bet on the NFL. You can't bet on the NBA. Well, you can bet on the NBA, but they're done. The World Series has been won. But there's always fights in the UFC. Cody, are there any fights you're looking forward to?
They just had a big one.
Who was it?
Khabib Nurmagomedov won big against Justin Gaethje.
See, you can go to mybookie.ag. You can bet on those fights. You can bet on the presidential election. You can bet on the Panthers. The Panthers are going to be playing the Kansas City Chiefs. I would have said last week that you could have bet any number on the Kansas City Chiefs against the New York Jets. The spread was 20, and they covered it by $1 billion. You can bet against the Jets. That's what my advice is. Bet against the Jets. And you can do that at mybookie.ag. Don't forget when you're there, picking with the professor, hanging out, you're enjoying life, you're betting on the future of America, prop bets of who the Secretary of State is going to be, prop bets of if Kareem Hunt is going to blast past the rest of the Cleveland Browns, whatever it may be. You can go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code OVERTIME, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to match your deposit dollar for dollar. First-time depositors, you're going to put $100 up. You're going to bet on, I don't know. I don't know who you would bet on politics. I would never bet on politics. That seems like more ludicrous than betting on UFC or the NFL or college football. So when you put that bet on, I guess, Clemson to win, even when Trevor Lawrence has COVID, you got to use the promo code OVERTIME. They're going to match your dollar for dollar deposit. Ooh. Stacked UFC cards, presidential prop bets, all the major sports and more. Sign up today. Your winning season exclusively at MyBookie. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this election show. Guys, I was thinking about it as first, a lot going on in my own personal life and work and this and that. So, you know, I feel like I'm almost got a hangover from Thursday night. We stayed up till an infinite hour, right, hosting calls here till past 2 a.m. or whatever it was. I am not overly interested in breaking down the Kansas City Chiefs matchup as a fan. Like, I don't really know what to say other than this is we've said so much about our own team, right? We've argued and debated about whether the zone defense and the 3-3-5 or whatever we run, this and that. But ultimately, I think we're an inferior team going against a very, very good team, and if we play them tough, great. But what really is there to talk about going into this Kansas City Chiefs game?
I mean, one of the things that you have to talk about is what chance do we stand at all, if any? I mean, listen, man, people think I get too down on these Panthers, but I mean, I think genuinely the Kansas City Chiefs are one of the best teams in football right now. I mean, so what? They had a close loss, but do they have the ability to put up so much points? Like, they really do not have a great chance to win this game, and I think that's fine. I am interested to see Christian McCaffrey's return because I think he's going to be back, and I'm interested to see how his role is going to evolve, if any, now that we've seen Mike Davis have some success running the football. Joe Brady and Matt Rule have gone on record as to say they want more true running back plays. They want to utilize Mike Davis. It's not just going to go back to this run McCaffrey every single play, every single down. I'd be interested to see if Christian even gets some more snaps at wide receiver. And I'd be interested to see what that looks like. I don't know. I think this is a better defense for Kansas City, and it's a tough out. It's hard to predict the Panthers to even stay competitive, I think. You tell me if I'm off base. I mean, how many of us think the Panthers can at least be competitive for 3/4 of football?
I'm worried that we're about to be embarrassed, but I'm also of the mind that this could be the game that all of a sudden everything just clicks, right? Because, you know, this team just seems to not, like, I just don't know I can't gauge this team yet. You know, one week their defense plays lights out, our defense plays lights out. And the next week, our offensive line is doing incredible. The next week, both of those are horrible. And just it's so hard to gauge what our team is. And maybe this is the game that they put it all together. I doubt it, but I'm truthfully concerned that our team is about to get embarrassed, and I don't want to see that happen, especially if a Christian McCaffrey return happens.
Consistently average. That's what we end up being. It's like you just said it. We end up being really good in this position one week, and because we were so good that week, we got to bring it back down to the average and be terrible at it the next week. We have a great first half. We have to have a bad second half. And every time I want to tweet something good about what's going on, something bad happens, and vice versa. It's just that they want to stay right down the middle. We never want to. It's like we don't want to make the leap to be good, but we're not quite bad enough to be crappy. It's such a difficult position to be in.
I think we know exactly where this team, or not we, I have the same feeling about this team that I've had for the last 3-4 weeks now, and that is that if we play move the chain football, slow the clock down, don't turn it over, keep their offense, we play basically ahead. We play ahead of the scoreboard. We play ahead of the clock. We play ahead of the sticks. That's what this team, that's when we've won. So in theory, can we do that? Sure. We can do that in theory. We can do that any Sunday. The problem being is this, and it's not even a worry, it's just a reality, is that the Kansas City Chiefs right now are the former Super Bowl champions. They have been playing like potential repeat Super Bowl champions, right? I mean, like, think about it. I mean, they're one of the top teams. You're going to say this. Who are the top teams in the AFC? The Chiefs, the Steelers. And we should probably say the Steelers, the Chiefs, then the Ravens in a way, right?
Yeah, I would.
But ultimately, we're not saying that the Panthers are one of the top teams in the NFC. So I'm not even worried about us getting rolled as much as, I don't know. Is that, like, to me, that, like, this is a game that we're playing with house money. We're playing with house money as this. Is like, what? This is an opportunity for this coaching staff, for the team, the players, to either squash some of our concerns, right? But, like,
if you're competitive, then they get to say, hey, you have guts. Look what you did against the Kansas City Chiefs.
And that's what I expect. I hope. That's what I hope for.
Made it into a dogfight. And listen, can I make an analogy that I think is apt on this election night, man? To me, the Carolina Panthers are like the Democrats, and the Atlanta Falcons are like the Republicans, right?
We're not playing the Atlanta Falcons.
No, I know, but follow me here, man.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, like, the Atlanta Falcons are one of the worst teams in football, right? And you think, oh, man, they suck. The Panthers, they have to win, right? There's no way they're going to lose to the Atlanta Falcons at home. And you want to pull for the Panthers, and you want to be confident that they're going to win, but then they go in and they shit the bed and they lose. And, like, I feel like that is where I'm at with both the Panthers and Democrats. You're supposed to be so much better than you are. And maybe not the Panthers because it's a first-year head coaching staff, but, like, that should have been a win for us. Like, as someone who is actively hoping that we lose every game for the better draft pick, not that we tank, but that we're competitive in every game and then end up losing at the final second. As someone who will admit that openly, I am so disappointed and felt so hurt that the Panthers could not close out the Atlanta Falcons. And I thought that it was embarrassing. That's one of the worst teams in football. And we were competitive up until the very end. And then Teddy Bridgewater gives it away right when it's time for him to be your franchise.
But it's kind of normal at the same time when it comes to the Falcons. They always come and stomp our ass at home. And it's not just the past 10 or 12, folks. It goes way back, bro. I've seen it. I've been there. Mike Vick was stomping our ass. The Falcons have always fucking fucked with us at home. It's not fair. It's not right. Understand. but it's always true.
Yeah, man.
All right, so here is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes right now is just lighting it up. I mean, as he should. Right? I mean, like their light year here is ultimately this is what would you like to see? Not what you expect to see. What would you like to see happen against the Kansas City Chiefs as this Carolina Panthers team goes out there?
I just don't want to see a blowout. That's what I would like to see is not a blowout. I mean, I don't expect us to win this game. I really don't expect it to be close, but I don't want it to be like the Steelers game a couple years ago where Cam got hurt, where it's like 56-21 or whatever. I just don't want that. It's already been a rough enough year.
It's demoralizing.
Yeah,
right? It makes you like Cody said, you want to be competitive in every single game. Right. Mm-hmm. If we can do that, I think, I'd be interested to see what the over under is for this game. Because I'm certain they've got multiple possessions as far as the Chiefs ahead of us. I'm sure it's more than a touchdown. But yeah, no, this is absolutely one of those games, but it's also, as you said, it could be one of those times where we're all in. We've got nothing to lose. There is literally no reason to not go out there and just play your heart out. All right. Because if you can come out with a win, like that is something that right there proves that this is a team that's moving in the right direction. If you can come out and look competitive, you show that you're a team absolutely making the right moves. And you can still say, because I mean, every year we've always had a lot of games that have been close, but this year we've had every game within one possession, every single one of them, and a lot of them winnable. And so if that means that we're that close, then we've got the cards to be able to, we just got to be able to put the right pieces in place. All of a sudden, things can change. We could be dominant. We could be better than every team in the league. But I don't know if we're going to get it done against the Chiefs right now. I think this could be a very embarrassing outing, but I'm hopeful.
You know what I hope they do? I hope Kansas dinks and dunks on us. I hope they take advantage of our linebackers. And
now you're just trying to make people mad.
That's what hey, why wouldn't they, man? Listen, if you watch the Panthers
because you're Patrick Mahomes, you throw it deep. I mean, he throws it deep all day. That's all he does.
No, they're the king of the screens, my dude.
Anything you could, but Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have that anything you can do, I can do better type of attitude. And I think it would be such a boss move if they just went straight ball control offense, ran out the clock, and just made us perform on offense, made us throw the football down the field. That would be a sight. I hope that happens.
I'm curious. Has anybody seen any interviews? Because I feel like Patrick Mahomes is going to be like, Carolina who? Like it's just like I sit there and think about like Patrick Mahomes thinks like making comments about this game, and I just feel like he's already thinking about next week. Just because this is kind of just.
Well, there was this one tweet that I saw flying around, and it was about after like the post-game interview. He was standing on the field, and they were like, "What do you think about Carolina?" He was like, and he gave the prototypical, "They're good. We gotta respect them." And they had a grin on his face, and somebody was like, "He's grinning because he lying." You know what I'm saying? Like that's what the tweet said. I don't know. Is that here? Is hey, in some ways, hey, let's think about this. Positive way of thinking. First is that the Panthers have been competent all season long. So that's what I want them to be when we play the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't even need it to be close or this and that. You guys are saying you don't want to be a blowout. Another way of saying you don't want to be a blowout, in my way of saying it, is I just want us to be competent.
Yeah.
Is that they score, we score, this and that. If we, I felt that the Panthers have looked pretty good from week to week against competition that in many ways is arguably a lot better. Even last week against the Falcons, right, is that while the Falcons do stink as a team, they did beat us exactly how we thought they could possibly beat us, and that is Julio having a bazillion yards. It's like, man, it's like we understand that. it's when the things that we expect to be pretty good. It's kind of like if Teddy throws 3 interceptions, you're like, wait a second, I was okay with him having 1 touchdown and 270 yards. I was not okay with him having 270 yards and 3 touchdowns. Interceptions, excuse me. So I just want us to be competent against that. But now when we look at it, in some ways, let's flip it. We continue to think about the perspective of the Carolina Panthers. In some ways, if you're a Chiefs fan, are you saying, is this a trap game?
Probably so. Because, listen, I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I feel as if the fan bases of other teams don't think too much of us, because why would they? Like, we've been absent Christian McCaffrey, and we have no other star power on our football team. Like, our coming out party to the world was on Thursday Night Football, and we managed to let the Falcons embarrass us. So I feel like if you're a Chiefs fan, you're confident, but you could also be aware that this is a team that has been in close games.
Is this a home game for us?
Or
a road game? Road game? Okay.
Oh, by the way, you mentioned interceptions. Keep in mind that now we're throwing against Tyrann Mathieu, Brashad Breeland, what's his name up there? The other cornerback that got this really good. The guy out of Virginia. I wanted to draft him. I'll think of it.
Tell the folks at home who Patrick Mahomes is throwing against.
Dante Jackson,
Russell Douglas, Best Boy should be back by this point. Trey Boston and Sam Franklin.
But let's also look at this. Who else do they have on their team right now?
Oh man.
No. On their offense.
Well, actually, no. Sammy Watkins is hurt.
No. So, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the tight end that's going to just make our linebackers look.
Oh, and the debut. This is the debate. Is this the debut of Le'Veon?
This will probably be.
I think this is his first game. I think he was with the team the last one. I think Le'Veon Bell will be suited up against the Carolina Panthers if the timeline is right. And all of a sudden now, yay.
You want to know what doesn't bode well for this Sunday? The Chiefs are known to run a very efficient screen game. Like that is, if not 2/3 of their offense, possibly more, is a screen game. And it's or a slant routes or whatnot. They're very good about getting the ball into the playmakers' hands quickly, while also opening up the back end of the field with that ridiculous arm of Patrick Mahomes. But that doesn't bode well for our number one, our horrific linebackers who can't tackle worth a crap, right? Where have we've just gotten destroyed on those short games because we can't tackle these guys out on the flat. It's just, I was talking about it, a few weeks ago when we said we need to get rid of the screen in our offense. Every other team seems to do it well. The best screen team in the entire NFL is the Chiefs. And we're about to see how you're supposed to run a screen game this week.
Well, also,
Blake Bettis said, didn't Bell play last week? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't remember him playing, but I could be a week behind. I could be a week behind or ahead.
But also to add to what CK is saying, though, part of the reason why they're so good, and I can't stress this enough.
I feel like the Saints should be the best screen team.
It's because the reason why the Chiefs are so good at it is because they can threaten all levels of the football field. So you're not ready. So you're not ready for their screen game when it does happen, and they have guys that are fast as hell and can make you miss. That's why I've always said, and people kind of laughed at me, Carolina could have built our own version of what Kansas City had. I've been saying that Curtis Samuel should have been our own version of Tyreek Hill. DJ Moore could have been
He's still a Panther, by the way.
Well, I mean, listen, what I'm saying is there are a lot of similarities between our offensive firepowers that we could have tried to build around. but we don't have the offensive line the Kansas City Chiefs does, and we damn sure don't have the quarterback that the Kansas City Chiefs do. So that's important, man.
No trades today. As I look around, the Carolina Panthers were not, and that's what I meant by saying.
Is this the last day?
Yeah, it ended. It's over.
There was no trade headlines.
Not really, no.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of minor ones in the background that happened 2 days ago, but you're right. Not giant ones. And Will Fuller stays put. And I thought when people were talking about Will Fuller to the Packers, I was asking more and more, it's Curtis Samuel on the block type thing. Panthers stay put.
Mm-hmm. I think that bodes well for Curtis Samuel to get an extension with the Panthers.
Maybe. Yeah.
Man, do you pay DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel?
You're not going to have to pay DJ Moore for 2
more years. Yeah,
right.
This is his third.
You got a little time, but the question is, do you pay Curtis Samuel to be a third receiver? Well, I don't think you ever pay a third receiver. Sorry, I don't think you ever pay a. It's too far down the depth chart.
Right.
I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. One, because our general manager is incompetent. We've stressed this enough. Number two, we have to make a decision on a few guys coming up. Taylor Moton, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore. 2 of those guys are receivers.
We have a little time with DJ. We got a little time with DJ.
What I'm saying is, what are the chances that we're going to sign both of them? And then if we're not going to sign both of them, if you don't want to pay 2 receiver contracts, then who are you going to pick, DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel? Now, me personally, at this point in time, even though I'm a huge Curtis Samuel supporter, I would pay DJ Moore over Curtis Samuel. I think there's more potential there. So if you have to pay Taylor Moton and you're eventually hoping to pay DJ Moore and you have Robbie Anderson, why not see what kind of value Curtis Samuel has out there? And with Christian McCaffrey coming back and we have Mike Davis to be able to run the football, we really aren't going to be absent a receiver, even if we traded
Can we
Sam.
talk about the offensive line? And while we're excited about Curtis Samuel, he did have 2 touchdowns this past week. Panthers got FSU 23. Mentioned that, a rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown. Really, a lot of the problems that were on the cat calls after the game on Thursday night and the things that we were talking about and even the days to follow surrounded poor offensive line play and arguably a deterioration in the Mike Davis play that has come about. Now you can say that could be offensive line, whatever. It could be anything. But why do you guys think is how imperative A is Moton to be extended, and B, what do you think the status of this offensive line is going forward?
I think that it's imperative to get him signed if you're don't have a future plan already in place, or you don't have something solid you can look forward to replace him. Because what are you going to replace him with? That's got to be the next question before you even think about not re-signing him. Is what are you going to do without him? We've
seen too often offensive line walk, right? We've let too many walk. We've let too many people leave. That's we see exactly what that does to a franchise quarterback and the longevity of a good history. What you notice over at the Saints, the Cowboys, when they had a good offensive line, those boys got paid, right? And they kept them around, and I think that's something we need to prioritize. And so I think Moton needs to be signed. And, if Okung cannot be injury prone, I mean, he's shown that he's a serviceable left tackle.
He's on the end. He's on a 1-year deal. He's already 30, whatever.
So,
we're talking about having to replace a left tackle, arguably.
Yeah, say it.
And I think it's really it's time to be thinking about investing high in the draft on a center. And I know that's not sexy, but Paradis has been up and down.
Yeah.
He was up and down because of an injury last year. He actually he's looked competent so far. It felt through the first 4 games. The last 2 have not been boding well. Now, at the same time, in fairness to him, you got these backup guards coming in. You got all this, and that's hard on the center. But he has not been great. And I mean, so at what point? How do you fix it? Do you fix it now? Do you fix it later? I think the Panthers are really going to have to invest in this draft in something high. Maybe it's a second round, third round pick in a center. I think you can get a center at that.
Well, if you notice, CK mentioned the Saints. Well, what do the Saints do well? Draft offensive linemen and spend premium draft capital on offensive linemen, and that's why it really is never that much.
They've only done that recently, though. I always feel like we always pat them on the back. It's like patting Dallas on the back. They did that like 5 years ago, and now they haven't done it, and now they're feeling the pain.
Nope, watch this. They drafted Ryan Ramczyk in the same draft that they got Kamara. Then last year in the second round,
3 or 4. That's 4 years ago.
Bro, hold on, I'm not done. Then the year after that, they moved up in the second round, drafted Eric McCoy, a center I was really high on out of Texas A&M. Got him as the center. Then last year they drafted the offensive guard from Michigan, Eric Ruiz, and he's doing really well right now. Like you already hit the nail on the head, Tony. Look at how many people we have to replace. Greg Little is not it. Greg Little continues.
Well, we don't know if he's not it. We don't know if he is or isn't, but you can't bank on him. That's the thing, is you don't give up on him, but you don't bank on him.
So we have no assured left tackle. We have no assured left guard. Paradis is nearing the end of his deal. Yeah. We have no assured right guard. Taylor
Moton is like pulling his dick out on the table, isn't he? He is going to get more money than anybody.
Taylor Moton should have had a contract before Shaq Thompson.
Yeah.
And that's the God's honest truth.
100%. I believe that. I agree with that. And you know what? We if you go back and check all the tape of the C3 Panthers podcast, we've been very high on Moton the whole time. The entire time. It's been very, very good for us. And that's all we're doing is compliment what we see is good. I, again, think another good rule of thumb would be you need to draft an offensive lineman in the top 3 rounds every year. 1, 2, 3. Like somewhere. 1, 2, 3. It could be the first, it could be the third. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I almost feel like that is a rule of thumb to have.
And by the way, I had someone mention it already too. Look how many good offensive linemen we've just kind of let go. Andrew Norwell, whether you loved him or hated him, he was good.
He cost so much money, bro.
Fine. All right, but then we signed Trey Turner, and then we end up.
We signed Trey Turner first. That's why we had to let Norwell go. We signed Turner. We
let go of Norwell so that way we could sign Turner.
We signed Turner. We had a choice. We had our choice between.
Yeah, we had to pick one of the two. Yeah, we didn't have the capital. Yeah, we didn't have the cap to be able to sign both. So
neither one of them are on the team right now. So again, dude, Marty Herndon needs to go.
Well, you gotta be careful paying a guard big time money. That's the thing is you should be drafting people to replace them. And look, we can't really be but so sad we didn't pay an undrafted free agent and Andrew Norwell. Like,
so what? He was balls out for us.
That's fine. That's fine. But it was like he cost like $60 million, man.
We paid other positions.
We should have just had another guy that we had in the hole to bring up next. You already brought. I think that's a lot to pay. I don't think you can pay guards. It's like paying running backs, bro. You say you can't pay running backs. It's the same thing. It's the same fucking thing.
No, Tony. The offensive interior is 3 of the most important positions in all of football. You're not able to run block or pass protect if your quarterback.
That's fine, but when you come to the money, the guards aren't paid the big dollars, bro.
Dude, have you seen what they're going for now? The guards are getting damn near tackle money, man. That's important.
How much is tackle money is what he's saying. Let's see.
No, I understand.
They're not even close.
But it's a reason why they're expensive. They are so much more important than a running back. You can have an undrafted running back.
They're not more important than running backs. A lie.
Oh, Tony, you don't know what you're
They're
talking
the
about.
I don't know
same.
if I'd say
They're like
more
the
important.
running
I'd say
back of
important in a
the
different
offensive
way.
line. A
bet
guard
you
is the
wish we had a
running
better
back
running
of the
back.
offensive line.
I bet you wish we had better offensive linemen when Cam was here. They were important more of the times when Cam was here, wasn't it? But we didn't build that offensive line when we had the opportunity to.
You guys, you know that when you look at how our offensive line did this past week, right? You know, you saw where our weakness was. 110% it was Chris Reed. And what is he? Guard. Our entire offense could not function because the entire defensive backfield, or defensive front seven was in the backfield within 5 seconds every single play. And it was cutting through those guys.
But what is Chris Reed? What was Chris Reed drafted as?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my point is that you can have good guards, but you don't have to, just like a running back, you don't have to get them in the first. You don't got them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying the guard's not unimportant. That's not my point. Is that he just doesn't have to be the elite of the elite.
Do y'all know who the highest paid guard in the league is?
Trey Turner.
Brandon Sheriff.
Yeah.
For Washington.
And he sucks. He's hurt.
$15 million a year. And then after that, it's Joe Thuney. For New England, $14 million a year. Yeah, so it's not. They don't get
New England,
paid.
and they have one of the worst fronts.
Yeah, they all suck.
For Philadelphia, they're horrible. Zach Martin.
All right.
Wow.
We spent enough time on these subjects, but I'm going to try to push through. The number's 252-228-5098. You know what you're listening to. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, longest running Panthers podcast out there. We're not football experts, but we are expert fans, and you're part of our community. You can call into the show. Again, the number is 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the show. Let's jump into the cat calls and see what you guys got to say.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey guys, it's Tyler from Spruce Pine. Saturday, so I've had a couple days to kind of stew on that embarrassing loss to the Atlanta Falcons, but one thing I want to say is I think this is the team that we all thought that it was going to be going into this year. Yeah, the defense didn't look great. At one point, they forced their first punt in like 7.5 quarters or something like that. Anyway, as far as that goes, the defense is young. They have some setbacks, and they've looked good at times. But I think that's what you're going to see with a young defense. I'm not mad about the coaching staff. I'm not mad about the talent because I think they're kind of overperforming their talent level and their experience right now. But anyway,
I like that.
As far as Teddy Bridgewater, I think he is what we thought he was. And I think that goes to say the same as what the coaching staff thinks about him as well. If you think about it, he's on a 3-year deal. And like Steve Smith called him a right now quarterback for Carolina. So I kind of think there may be a plan in the works to draft a quarterback in the future, but have him sit, kind of like a Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith situation. And I'm not saying that we're going to get a Mahomes, but at the same time, when a quarterback does sit for a year, a lot of times that tends to bode well for them. There are some situations where I think a rookie is better starting out, but that's a top draft pick that we're not going to get. So I've got a question for you, Cody. If we're picking at number 10, what quarterback do you see us drafting? I know that there will be some good quarterbacks available. I think Deshaun Watson was in that range. Patrick Mahomes was in that range. I know that there's a few good quarterbacks that have been in that range. Also, another question is, if Marty Hurney is gone, who do you see as his replacement? I don't think Marty Hurney's done a terrible job, but at the same time, like, we've not even entered contract talks with Taylor Moton, Curtis Samuel, or any of these guys that we need to re-sign.
That we know of.
Taylor Moton, priority. They should already have him locked up and should have had him locked up this summer, but that's kind of how Marty Herney works. We get a good O-lineman, and he just lets them walk, and then we
What's
suck
my
for the
man's
next 4
name
years.
again?
So, I mean, it is what it is. It's frustrating as a
let's
Panthers
see.
fan, but I
Let me
think
hear
we're
this.
trending in the right direction with this coach.
And how did that make you feel?
Tyler.
Tyler from Spruce Springs. What a good call.
Fantastic.
What a great, yeah. I mean, top to bottom, great call in so many efforts. Go ahead and speak to it. Number one, I think, is this. I don't know. What do you think is number one? I feel like all his points were top notch right there.
First, follow me on Twitter, man. At Cody Lack, CODYLAC, man. I be bullshitting on Twitter, bro. And I'll drop little nuggets of truth on there. And if you've been following me today, I've been tweeting all morning about Zach Wilson. I normally don't start watching film.
Is this the BYU?
Yeah, the BYU kid. And Tony, let me tell you, dude.
Brigham Young, he's a Mormon kid, right?
BYU, yeah, they call him the Mormon Manziel.
What's his name?
Zach Wilson. And dude, you can go to even my Twitter timeline and look at some of the things I posted. But check out some of his highlights. Check out his film. Dude, I have a crush, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been watching this kid's film, and not just the highlights too.
He's a warrior too, bro.
Dude, he's incredibly mobile. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. He can run away from you. He has an absolute missile launcher. He throws footballs down the field with the greatest accuracy. And right now, he currently has a higher number of yards per play than even Trevor Lawrence does.
And he's got a 99% completion rate or some crazy. It's not that high, but it's like insane. It's like 79%.
Look, this is what I'm saying, man. Joe Brady with that kind of quarterback would be transcend. I know you're watching.
I'm watching the highlight.
So listen, bro, this is what I'm saying, man. And people get
the
mad.
story gets better, Cody. I would say this is that I heard you mention his name.
Yes.
Right. Like a week or two ago. I heard that, and you said I haven't watched a ton yet, but I'm seeing this and that. I'm seeing this.
A lot more.
Okay. I heard a interview with him.
Yes.
He went on the Jim Rome show. And he was like, you don't want to be blown away just because like you're a good speaker, right? And you're saying the right things. You don't want to be over, but like we can't be mad at someone when they say the right things. You're like, oh, damn it, they said the right thing. Shut the door.
He had the poison.
He said all the right things, but this dude is a film fucking nerd, bro.
Yes. He has that kick the DNA.
It's crazy, dude. He was talking about it. He was talking, and on top of that, he was not recruited by a lot of schools coming out. He said he did not want to go to BYU. He said it on the radio. He said, I didn't want to go there. He was like, I was more interested. He said, I was a Utah fan growing up. I wanted to go to Iowa, this and that. And I hated BYU. But then these coaches, they replaced some coaches. They started to speak to me like we were on the same level. But on top of that, he's been at BYU for a minute. And he said this. He was coming into this year, and this was the craziest thing I've ever heard. He's having a Heisman Trophy year. He's going to be climbing the ranks of the NFL draft. And you know what he talked about in this interview? For minutes was earning the respect of his team. He said this, is that he was in a battle going into the season for the quarterback position. He said, I never had a doubt in my mind if I could win it or if I was going to win it. He said, I thought I was going to win it. But what I knew I had to do was I needed my teammates to believe I deserved it. It was like he had the most, it was like the film, the polish, the blue, the lunch pail fucking thing. I would tell you this. Yeah, it's like all of this. It's the total package, and I know I might be being wooed. I am being wooed with one. He's whispering sweet nothings in my ear in one interview. but it's a lot, and it's evidence, and it's interesting. Tell him the name one more time.
Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. But listen though. See, this is where people get pissed off at me, man. And I think this is where the disconnect is. I'm a fan of the Carolina Panthers, but I'm a fan who thinks more like a GM than I do a fan. And like the caller even asked me, like, what other GMs am I thinking about? Dude, I don't know. That's my dream job. How about this? It should be my fucking triple act. I should get one in there, dude.
What were they saying on the round table? We did a round table this past Sunday, Panther Nation podcast. We're all up there with all the YouTubers, and they were all over that Eagles guy. The guy that we got that brought us Rasul Douglas. I thought they were taking it too far. I thought they were like, this is the guy. I was like,
that's the thing. I've never even heard that dude, Patrick Stewart. I think they said his name was, and I'm like,
I feel like that's the dude from Star Trek.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. Sir, pardon me.
Sir Patrick.
Yeah, that's our next general manager. So, dude, if Professor Xavier is our next fucking GM, I'm down, bro. Like, hey, it might as well be me. I have
it's Cody. Yeah, it's Cody. Cody.
Can I pose a question?
Office. Yeah, man.
It's something I've been thinking about while you guys have been talking about this. So, say he asked if we're drafting 10th, who do we take? Right. So let's work off of what we know currently, and that is that the Jets look like they're getting the number 1 pick, right? And by all accounts, there is a chance, and I know that this is all fake news up until this point, that Trevor Lawrence decides to stay at Clemson for his senior year instead of going into the draft if the Jets are the pick, right? If they get the number 1 pick in the draft. So now you have an opportunity at number 10 to pick a quarterback that has no opportunity of being Trevor Lawrence because he's going to be staying there another year. Do you take the quarterback, or do you hope that we get Trevor Lawrence the next year?
I mean, listen, that's an interesting scenario, but let me just bust that bubble. Dude, Trevor is not coming back to Clemson. He is not going to come back to Clemson. And I'll tell you why.
Especially since he caught COVID, bro.
One, think of it this way. You're Trevor Lawrence, okay? You're going to stiff the Jets, to go to Jacksonville? Like, if the Jaguars are number 2, like, you're going to stiff one just to go
to Atlanta, to go to Houston. You have your pick of the litter, bro. You got your pick of the fucking litter. The Giants. You got your pick of the litter. He can do whatever. He can put his Teddy Bridgewater dick on the table and be like, I go where I want to go.
They're not going to have Adam Gase as the head coach. Listen, who cares that they haven't fired him yet? They're getting rid of Adam Gase. They're going to have a brand new head coach. They're going to have a whole bunch of draft picks. They're going to have a whole bunch of draft capital and money to spend.
They've had for the last 20 years.
You're in the New York media market. Trevor Lawrence is not going to skip. He's not coming back and missing out on millions of dollars just to play as an amateur quarterback at Clemson for another year. He's going to graduate.
Why wouldn't he do it this? Why wouldn't he force a trade to New England?
You can't pick who you want to go to. Like
Eli
there has
did.
To be a team.
Eli did.
Yeah.
But that's only because the Giants were willing to trade up for that pick. They said to San Diego.
No, they only did that because the only reason San Diego agreed to it is because Eli said, I will not play with y'all.
Right.
John Elway did it as well.
Where he went. Right.
Kobe Bryant did it.
New York was willing to trade with San Diego. Eli had no say on what team traded that with that San Diego.
I don't believe that.
I don't. I
don't believe he had no say.
I thought there was talks from the beginning of him wanting to be in New York.
I don't believe he had no say. Like, if you can tell this team, I'm not going to play for you. He obviously, and he had Archie Manning as his dad. All right, I understand what you're saying. Is hard to navigate that, but when 7 people want you,
right? But I want to say one more thing, man, and this is why I was talking about me having a GM mindset. Like, dude, knowing what kind of quarterbacks that there are, Tony hasn't even looked at Trey Lance yet. Okay, but that's another name that is definitely in consideration for the Panthers.
Is this the North Dakota guy? I'm not going to look at him. I refuse to look at him. I will not even look at his thing. I don't care what he looks like.
You don't need to look. Go to sleep. I don't care. I'm telling you that he's a damn good football player, man. And if we win, the more we win, the more we are pushing ourselves away from the opportunity to be able to draft one of these guys.
Good news, we're not winning. We lost to the Falcons, and we're going to play the Chiefs. So that's a moot point. Moot point. Moot, not mute. Moot.
But also, Cody, you're talking right there. If we win, we're pulling away. Not necessarily. I mean, some of these guys are going to fall late to the first and early second because there's not going to be 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round.
Oh, well, not 6,
Amen.
but I could.
Amen.
But we've already named 5.
All right, can we keep going? Let's go through the calls. 252-228-5098.
Sorry, I forgot that it was only 3 minutes, so it kind of cut me off. But I've got one last thing. It's about Joe Brady. Yeah, he called a pretty shit game last week. But at the same time, Joe Brady's only 30 years old. So Joe Brady has a lot of room to grow. I don't think he's ready to step into a head coaching role yet. I think we're going to have him for maybe 2 or 3 years before, he's ready to do that. And then he will be one of the hottest names as far as coaches that available in 2 to 3 years. But I just don't see him being ready to step into a head coaching job after this season. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I do think as an offensive coordinator that he is still learning. He is still growing because at LSU, I think he only called like half the plays. I want to say it was either on first and second down or it was on third down. I don't know. I know that it was half the time, and he wasn't even, the offensive coordinator there.
That's what I was trying to say.
So
that's why I've been
sure
so
his role
impressed
was
with
a lot
him
different
because I
there
was worried
than what his role is here. So let's just give Joe Brady some time. And let's let Matt Rule and Joe Brady both get the players that they want to get in there. And let's hopefully get an offensive line within the next few years and Marty Herney can get his head out of his ass. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys.
Man, look.
I'm interested to hear your
Good set of calls tonight. Good set of calls. Thank you for being part of the community. We love it. And I'm telling you, those were some great calls, particularly the first one. And I'm not trying to diminish the second one. What I'm saying is it kind of turns my mind to a couple of topics. Number one is this. We were on this round table, right? Many people, maybe they don't know what we're talking about. So on Sunday, because we didn't have a game, we got the Panther Nation podcast set up a round table of the major, I guess, almost all of the YouTubers that deal with the Carolina Panthers. Right, Pat Coltrane was up there, the Big Cat, all the dudes, right? We were up there, and there was a couple of
representing,
things
I might add.
Thank you. There's a couple of things that stood out to me in that. One, I was surprised with how weird they were when we were, I guess, hesitant about Teddy. Yeah, it was like, they were like, what? Teddy Bridgewater, the best thing ever. The other thing was this, is that I would say, and that's fine. Okay, I was ready for the Teddy Bridgewater stands or whatever you call it, whatever the word is, for people that think more highly of than we do. Mm-hmm. But there were a couple of people who were like, I don't know about the time management, the clock management of this team. And look, I am not a football expert. I'm willing to say it. Like, I don't know the technicalities of everything, but I watch football every Sunday, right? I mean, I have a podcast about, I'm not an expert, but I'm not a dummy either. The eye test has not told me any problems about clock management with this team. Like, I was like, that's what we're talking about here? Like, you think we're weird? Not y'all, but like the people were saying, it was like this. And I'm like, well, Teddy can throw it down. They were looking at me like I was speaking Sanskrit or something. But then they would be like, the clock management. I was like, y'all speaking Sanskrit, homie.
It made me wonder, like, man, are we really the only ones that kind of beat the anti-Teddy Bridgewater drum as loud as we do? And if so,
are we
I'm
too
proud.
far? Oh,
Dude,
you double down. You're like,
no. In fact, it makes me feel better because, and listen, man, shout out to everyone and a lot of fans are like this, and I don't blame them because that's part of being a fan. But so many people have this mindset. But Teddy Bridgewater is the Panthers quarterback, and I'm a fan of the Panthers. And they, Joe Brady hand-selected Bridgewater, and that was his guy. And all these different things, and his yards are incredible. Like, they're gonna find every reason to be optimistic and hopeful about Teddy Bridgewater. And to a certain,
is there anything ironic about that though? When you sing a song about Teddy Bridgewater, when you talk about his yards, and then you also put up a video that's like, should we fire the offense? I mean, is there anything?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not. To me, I'm more analytical in how I look at things. I don't see a quarterback that takes us to the next level. I see an opportunity.
I think you were going soft on Teddy Bridgewater, bro. I'm going to tell you that. You were like this. You were like, he can throw no, he can't throw the deep ball. He physically can throw the ball down the field. But when it's like a looping ass bitch ass.
I was trying to find some middle ground so that way.
They looked at me like I was a damn anti-Semite, bro.
Dude, there's one thing that was said during that part that I think was absolutely asinine, because every person that's watched the Panthers this year has said, what's the one thing we're missing is the deep ball. And I'm not going to say names, but there was somebody who said they were roasting Joe Brady for calling the deep ball pass in the certain circumstances, when if honestly they were really smart decisions to go deep, right? And just because they didn't work out, it's Joe Brady's fault. I got so frustrated with that.
It's Joe Brady's fault. Exactly,
because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, bro, I mean, there were open wide receivers on most of those, and that one pass that was at the end of the Falcons game, that was the interception. That was a bad decision, period. Now, granted, that had probably more to do with the offensive line not giving him any time, but it's still, nonetheless, it was a bad decision. That was like a Cam Newton rookie year season decision to just throw the ball up in the last minutes to try to get something done. And you just can't do that. I think that was my biggest issue.
I think there's one other thing too, is that I think the most homophobe people are the biggest homos. And I know that's that's actually probably gonna be fired from my job. But what I mean by this is, I said, we call him Teddy BD, and they were like, don't talk about that. But I'm ready to suck his big old D. They love
I commend your level of fucking attitude to take it to that extra weird place. Even at a moment we were hanging out with people that we've never hung out with.
They were like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh my
and you're
God.
talking about Ted's dick.
Dude, those guys had no idea what was coming. After you started to, they were just like.
And what I would say is that they don't follow the Panthers closely enough. If you watch Barstool Sports, you would have known about it. You would have known about this.
They were not ready to hear about Teddy's dick.
They were chugging on his D, and they didn't even know how big it was.
Yeah, that is kind of funny, right? The Teddy Bridgewater defenders, they don't. How could you not know about his giant fucking baby arm holding an apple?
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, it's Jason from Colorado. I wanted to talk a little bit about response to the post-game show. Obviously, there was a lot of negativity after dropping that game to the Falcons, but there's a lot of fire and fury coming out about Teddy Bridgewater not necessarily losing the game, but not winning the game either.
I think for a long time we've been spoiled by Cam Newton's talent, and one of the things that I talked about a couple weeks ago is that our offense is predicated on taking what the defense gives you. And I think Teddy can do that, but I think what we want from him and what we haven't seen is something that Cam Newton was so good at, and that's taking what the defense doesn't give you. In the way that, if all of the receivers were covered down the field and nobody was open, Cam could still take off and run it because of one-on-one matchups, and he could win those. He could fire it, put some heat on it and fit it into a really tight window where there's really not a gap in coverage, but he could fit the ball in there and strike. And that's something that we haven't seen from Teddy. I don't think he has the arm strength for it. I think that we saw the limits of his ability.
That's what I've been
to push the ball down the
trying
field
to say.
last week. And granted, it was soaking wet. It's going to be harder to air it out. But there were opportunities where if he would have just thrown the ball a little bit harder, it could have made a big difference. And I just think that that's because he's not particularly built for that. He's very cerebral.
That's
can
right.
Play
That's
the ball
exactly
in open space,
right.
But when
Good call.
Time
Great calls
to,
tonight.
Really take advantage of the situation, strike and move the ball down the field, he's not your guy. I think that he could be successful on a better football team. We're very limited in our talent. Atlanta, on paper, I think all of us would agree that they have a much more talented football team than we do. And I think we all expected them to have a much better record. And if the coin flipped in a million different universes, I bet that in most of them, the Falcons aren't. At this 1-6, or I guess now 2-6 record or whatever it is, because, they are stacked and they've been in the lead. They've blown, whatever their win probability, 90+% win probabilities in 4 or 5 of those losses that they took. So, they had those games iced away and then they blew it. It does happen. But, it's just as easy that they are ahead. And I don't think that it's the end of the world that we lost to them in a slugfest in a soaking wet game where, it got hard to slug it out on the ground, and that's what we rely on. But looking forward to.
I have a statement I would make about that too. I think that what we've realized now is that even there towards the end, Cam Newton, he wasn't able to be Cam Newton like he always had been. He wasn't able to just elude the pocket as much or anything like that. And we've seen that, really since 2017's year. But guess what happened in those years? We had Christian McCaffrey, and we haven't had Christian McCaffrey. And I think that should bode well for Teddy Bridgewater in the event that pressure does come, because he will have an outlet that is able to get the ball out, who doesn't drop the football in the flat, who is able to make the first person miss every single time, not with requiring to break tackles. Like that's what Mike Davis does. He runs through people, right? Christian McCaffrey avoids the tackle altogether, and he's able to get some speed going, and that's how he's able to get some stuff. I think that's going to help Teddy's game this week because he is going to have that, what he was talking about. Teddy Bridgewater's can't take what the defense doesn't give them, right? Like Cam Newton did. That's where Christian McCaffrey is going to come in handy for him.
I'm going to keep pushing through the calls, guys.
10-4.
Sorry about that, but looking forward to next weekend. We're playing the Chiefs, and they're a high-powered offense. I know that some people are suggesting they don't want C-Mac to come back and play, but I got to see C-Mac. I've missed him. I want him to come back and play for this team. I think he can be a difference maker in more ways than one. And I don't think we're playing ourselves out of being a competitive football team, because like I was talking about, if Teddy can, I think that Teddy can win on a team that's more talented, with receivers that can make more separation. Which
I think it'd be great on the Bears or the
with an
Colts,
offensive
to
line
be
that
honest.
can stand up and protect like the Saints had, and a dynamic running back situation that we do have. All we really need to do is plug up some holes on the offensive line and on the defense, and I think the rest of our team is good enough for Teddy Bridgewater to be able to win. So if we do play ourselves out of one of those top draft spots, we can still become a competitive team by addressing areas other than quarterback and by reaching for somebody that we don't know for sure. I think that we also, I mean, you have to look at our salary cap situation. We've got, we're in salary cap hell. We have more dead money on our roster than any other team in the league.
I think this is the last year of that. I think we're free. I think we're going to
paying for some better contracts and things like that. We're going to be able to improve our team. So I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater is, that we can't, under any circumstance, keep him around for at least a couple years. But I don't, at the same time, we can draft a new quarterback this year. We cannot. We have flexibility. But looking forward to next week, the Chiefs are going to be a tough matchup. Their offense can move the ball in every dimension. It'll be a real test to our defense to see if they're able to score on big plays. What I'd like to see is they are going to have a lot of yards underneath. I don't think there's anything that we can do about that. As long as we can prevent them from blowing the top off the defense and tackle well, which, those are big ifs after having nuts right now. So we'll see what happens, but I'm optimistic.
Aunt is a tranny, and he's your uncle.
That they have drive, and that the coaches have seemed to be preparing them for what they're going into week in and week out. So anyway, Jason from Denver signing off. Keep pounding, guys.
Way to go, Jason. We're going to keep going through the calls.
Jason,
hey, what's
Denver.
up, Panther Nation? This is Nasty Nate from Harrisburg.
Nasty Nate.
I'm a big Miami Hurricanes fan, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but on the Falcons game, Troy Aikman said that Matt Rule reminded him of Jimmy Johnson. I thought that was pretty fucking dope. And also, I want to talk about the draft. I think we got to get a quarterback, offensive lineman, and linebacker. So I say we get the BYU quarterback, then draft the offensive lineman and linebacker in there. Also, I think it'll be pretty cool. Since I'm a Hurricanes fan, I like De'Aaron King. Could be a sneaky third-round pick quarterback. And first round, I say we get that Kyle Pitts guy from Florida State. He could be like a Claypool dude. And we possibly could trade DJ Moore for like a second or sixth-round pick or second-round pick for Green Bay. So we got 2 seconds, and then we can get like a offensive lineman and linebacker. And yeah, man, so I feel like the draft's kind of like Mario Kart. You hit the question mark box, you don't know what you're going to get. You can get a bomb, you can get a star, he's a good player, or you can get that low-key turtle shell that knocks off the number one player in the league. So maybe you get a quarterback and could be like surpassed. The top quarter, Gilmore, Ramsey, Tre'Davious White. He knows, man. All I know is love the Panthers and hope that's pretty cool with you. Also, what if you trade for like a 2022 first-round pick for the Jets for Quentin Williams and have the best defensive line, young line ever?
Cody,
that's pretty cool.
Is your call.
That's just my thoughts, some crazy stuff I've been thinking, and that's just my input. And I believe in Matt Rule. I believe in you guys. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. And God bless, guys. Stay safe out there. Stay righteous. God bless. Keep
God bless, man. Nasty Nate. Shout out for the call, man. Thanks so much for calling in.
Incredible call.
I love where your mind's at, dude. Listen, if you've been listening to this show already, you've already heard us gush about Zach Wilson. I think he's legitimate. I'm excited to watch him the rest of this football season. I think he's a legitimate Heisman candidate. And I think that he has the potential to be in conversation for us. We definitely need to go offense. We have to build our offensive line. Jackson Carman, the left tackle from Clemson, could play tackle or guard for us, I think. Chaz Surratt is a linebacker out of UNC who I think has the potential to go in the second or third round. We have options, man. And one of the things that I said on that podcast that we did with everyone in Panther Nation is that a rebuild doesn't have to take forever. People have this mindset that when you rebuild, it's like, 2 or 3 years down the road. Man, the Arizona Cardinals have turned around the optimism meter of their franchise in just 2 years' time. It doesn't have to take forever if you can draft well and you can make the right moves in free agency. It doesn't have to take forever.
Cody, don't you think they also kind of fell into that because who was the guy they drafted, the quarterback they drafted the away?
Yeah.
They fully planned on him working out. So imagine him winning 7 games his rookie year. Then they're not in the position they're in.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
They kind of stumbled into where they're at. I mean, you're right. It worked out well for them in 2 years. But had Rosen done decent his first year, they'd never have Murray.
Well, right.
Like they'd have never been in that position. So I mean, it's kind of I don't know. I mean,
from the moment that they drafted Kyler Murray, right? Then the very next year, he was the offensive rookie of the year. I believe so, right? Yeah, he won offensive rookie of the year, Kyler Murray. And then, as of right now, they're a good football team. So what I'm meaning, from the time that you actually hit on your quarterback, it doesn't have to take a long time from then thereafter to build a legitimate football team.
They also had a big trade for DeAndre.
It's important that all those things they sound wonderful. And one other thing though, just because you brought up Rosen, he was their big quarterback that they got like at the second pick or whatever. It was like ridiculous.
No, and I think he got passed up a few times, didn't he?
And I want to say this, as someone said, and I think it was Cody a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Sam Darnold. It was like, it's about where you go, right? You were like, it's not just about who you are, it's about where you go. Well, Josh Rosen has been, he's kind of like the buster of that myth in some ways. Like, he's been everywhere. Like, he can't even break through. What I would just say is this, is that's one piece of evidence that just tells us that just because you get picked high doesn't mean you're great.
Right.
I will say that Rosen was nowhere near the prospect that
we thought he was so smart, though. Like, he was supposed to be the cerebral-ass motherfucker that taught philosophy and this and that.
Time arm. He was always injury prone. He was never mobile. Like, he was never.
Did you hear Colin Cowherd talking shit about Tua already?
Yeah, I did.
He said he just looks small. Like, he's just kind of this. He's just
I don't even listen to that joker anymore.
One game.
Yeah,
he's such a good talker, though.
He's a good talker because all he does is take hot takes. That's it. Like it's very similar to Stephen A. Smith, but I wanted to touch on the Arizona Cardinals part of things. You know what the Arizona Cardinals did, though, is they went from 1 year of Steve Wilkes, of Josh Rosen, and it was a failure. They didn't wait. They made the decision. This could have been just a horrible scenario because a lot of people would have been saying, let's say, let's look at the Jets with Adam Gase. Everybody's like, you got to give him more time. You got to give him more time. Well, guess what? The Arizona Cardinals didn't, and now they're looking pretty damn good, right? They didn't give Steve Wilkes an extra, or Steve, is that right? Still, yeah.
Yes.
They didn't give him an extra year. They didn't give Josh Rosen the benefit of the doubt. They said, we're resetting off of our reset. We're done. We're moving on, period. No questions asked, and then it's worked out really well for them. What I worry about with the Panthers, and I think we all can kind of mimic this, bit of worry, is that, again, mediocrity is just going to feed more mediocrity. It's just going to continue down this path because it's what happened with Ron Rivera in the final years of, well, he won the first few games and then he was competitive the last few games. And then they did a good offseason. They lost Cam. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt when clearly he wasn't able to coach at the same level that these new offensive-minded coaches were able to coach at. All of a sudden, we're still just kind of behind the eight ball because we were refusing to make a move.
I think we did make a move, though. We go and get Rule. Right, we do a lot of – it's become – but what you have brought up is someone told me this. Who was it that told me this? Good Lord. It was like they said to me, you hire slow, fire fast. That is, you take the time to find the right person.
Yes.
Rather than just hiring somebody because you need somebody.
Yes.
But when you see somebody is not doing it, their argument is the worst thing you can do is drag it out. So you fire fast, you hire slow, and I think that's kind of what I don't want to say that's kind of. I think that's exactly what you're saying with Arizona that they did.
Yeah, that's what they did, and that's what I'm talking about with I'm not saying we fire Coach Rule or anything like that.
Nah, I think we hired well there.
Yeah.
I think you're right there. I think there's good points, good calls. Well, one more call, and then I got some election notes for you.
podcast brothers. How y'all doing?
Oh, gee,
Cavassier. Hey, man, I was really, really, really believing that we was gonna pick some free agents up. I really was, man. You know, but as the Panthers always do, we don't pick up nobody, man. And you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of pissed off about it. Because honestly, I want a Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots, man. Oh, my God, man. He would help the corner situation out so damn much, man.
Way too much,
oh, my God.
But he's been
put him on our
crap
field,
there.
and put Dante Jackson playing nickel, and he has experience, and he can teach, you know, Troy Prod Jr.
He's had a bad year.
The rest of the defense.
But it's a
bad
bad
team.
team.
Look for, but we didn't get him. And I wanted that damn defensive tackle out of the Jets, too. I forgot his damn name. But I would like him to become a Carolina Panther.
Quentin Williams.
But before I let y'all go, notice one thing. When we got a lot of free agents, you know what I'm saying, good, proven free agents, we went 15-1. Y'all remember that shit when we had Peanut. You know, he was a free agent. We picked him up. You know, the damn left tackle from Baltimore. He was a free agent.
Michael
We picked him up.
Jared Allen.
It is what it is, man. It's just that, you know, it breaks my heart.
Trade.
You know,
Roman
try to get something. But, you know, hey, we got Kansas City this Sunday, and call me crazy. I see us winning this game. I really do, man. Ain't gonna be no damn
stop,
like that,
G. This is a bleeding optimist. They love the team.
Give me your thoughts on that, and don't laugh at my prediction, but, you know.
Oh, my man, G.
G, he knows us so well, bro.
He already.
That's the first thing we did.
It's a long line of good calls tonight. I want to bring this up, guys. So we've talked about many of the things that G has said in this call. I want to, since it's election night, right? We're polling, we're getting these notes. You guys aren't going to be able to see this who are in the room, but I prepared a couple, and if I would have had some more time, if I hadn't got an argument with partially my wife and the rest of the world before the show, I'm going to have more. I want to ask this, is that tonight we are going to be casting our vote for Secretary of Defense for the Carolina Panthers. That's right. We are going to be electing our best defensive coordinator in the history of the Panthers. And I know this is hard for us because some of us very babies when this happened. But I want to, there's 3 candidates that come up for election of best defensive coordinator. Nick Fangio, who was our first defensive coordinator, who is now the head coach of the Denver Broncos. I tell you, the Panthers started out as an expansion team in 1995. They won 7-9, but I tell you this, in 1996, 12-4. Second year, Nick Fangio, and let me see the notes right here. 1996, and I want you guys to think about these because I'm going to give you some stats, right? So you got to keep these in. Fangio, defensive coordinator, 1996, we were 10th in yards. We were second against scoring. We averaged 4.8 yards per game. We were 8th in rushing, 12th against the pass. So Nick Fangio is a defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers to start. We went 7-9, 12-4, 7-9, 4-12. I think he got us all the way. He was with us through 1998, so we had a 12-4 season. The next defensive coordinator up for election is, I believe it's Mike Trogovac. Trogovac. Trgovac. Turgovac. This guy was the bomb, man. Like, he might be getting your vote. He was the defensive coordinator for the 2003 through the 2009, maybe 2008. He had, in this time, we were 11-5 twice and 12-4 once. In 2003, we were 10th in points, 9th against the pass, 4.7 yards per play, 11th against rushing. In 2005, under his leadership, we were 3rd in yards allowed against the team,
I mean, against teams 5th in scoring, 9th against the pass, 4th in rushing. He had 3 winning seasons, like big time, where the defense was very good. In 2008, we were 12th in points, 18th in yards, 16th in the pass, 20th against the run. And our third candidate goes to Sean McDermott. In 2013 and 2015, makes his bid for Secretary of Defense. In 2013, we were 2nd in points, 2nd in yards, 6th against the pass, 2nd against the rush. 2015, 6th in points, 6th in yards, 11th in the pass, 4th against the rush. We have 3 picks. I think Fangio is like a founding father of the Panthers defense. Travagin built this system. McDermott really capitalized upon it. Where does your vote go? Fangio, Travagin, McDermott, Secretary of Defense for Panther Nation.
I feel like maybe my answer might be a little bit simple, but I think for me, just based on the amount of time that I've been watching the football team and evaluating these Carolina Panthers defenses, I gotta say Sean McDermott, man. I think that 2013 and 2015 defenses for Carolina are a real feather in his cap. And I think you can make an argument that the franchise as a whole was at its best in those 2 years, man. We had Cam Newton. We had a defense that was playing incredible. The only reason it got outshadowed is because that was the same year of the Legion of Boom up in Seattle and that crazy defense that they had. The 49ers also had a really good defense. So, seeing what the Panthers were able to do, man, I remember Greg Hardy and Charles Johnson and that young pass rush, man, that was we had studs all over the football field. So, I mean, again, you guys might be able to speak back to that earlier era of Panther defenses, but for me, dude, I'm casting my ballot for McDermott.
I've got to do this. Like, so here's the thing, and I'm going to take out recency bias out of the equation here. Like, if you look at just pure statistical, let's take out the Carolina Panthers aspect of it. Even McDermott has gone to Buffalo and given them a top tier defense consistently. When he left the Panthers, what happened? Our defense, even with Luke Kuechly, was horrendous. It didn't like in Sean or Steve Wilkes got a head coaching job because he went from 1 year not blitzing to the next year just having to blitz the entire time. Like, he literally was just blitzing. And so he got a job because he was an aggressive blitzer. That's really why he got the job with the Cardinals. And so when you see what happened to the Panthers when he left, what happened to the Bills when he went up there, by the way, first time they've had a playoff appearance in how many years with him under the reign? And they look like they're making another bid for it. I mean, it's got to be Sean McDermott.
Yeah, I have to complete it here and say Sean McDermott as well. Not necessarily a recency bias, but just looking at the stats, especially what you were just telling me, while Trogovic, whatever his name is, had some pretty good stats, and I do remember the defenses being well that year. The stats you lifted off with McDermott were consistently top 3, top 5 for both those phenomenal years. Whereas the other guy, Trogovic, whatever, he wasn't one of the best defenses in the league. It was a good defense, but it wasn't top in almost every category. Whereas when McDermott was in his prime, had the best teams, it's arguable. You could make an argument any day of the week that 2013 and 15, we were the best defense in the league.
If it wasn't for 2013, my vote goes to Travagin, whatever. This is actually the defense that people celebrate the most for the Carolina Panthers, which is 2015 defense was not one of our best defenses. I think that the 2013 defense is one of the best defenses in the history of football. And if the Seattle Seahawks hadn't have been just a yard or two more than better than us, we would have been the second to the 85 Bears. I'm going to let you guys are going to win the vote, But man, I like those defenses from 2003 to 2008. Mcdermott was good. It was good, but we only got 2 years out of it. And I'm not saying, look, because I'm not saying it underperformed. I think you guys are casting the right vote. All right, next election night. Best offensive player in Panther history. You have 2 candidates up here: Smitty, Steve Smith, or Cam Newton. Now we can argue that there's some other players, I guess. Actually, I don't think there's an argument. I think this is the deciding vote right here. I'm going to cast my vote first, and I've decided to go. I'm casting my vote for Smitty.
Okay. For Smitty over Cam.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. And I wish, you know what? If you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I would have cast my vote the other way. But kind of the ungracious or unceremonious decline of Cam Newton's career, Smitty playing ultimately the large amount of his career with the Carolina Panthers, and then finding success after the cut, the blood and guts, this and that. You know, I always say this is thank you, Cam, for taking Smitty off the shelf. Steve Smith was on the shelf like a hobbled old receiver that nobody cared about, and Cam Newton came in and Steve Smith is back to being number 1. He's my vote right now.
Yeah.
Triple crown. I understand Cam is the NFL MVP. If Cam would have not played this year, I may have voted for Cam Newton.
You want to know? You know why I'm voting for Smitty? Is I'm taking out, like, obviously if you're talking about most important player in franchise history, it's going to be Cam Newton, right? But if you're talking about best offensive player in Carolina Panther history, I'm looking at this from a purely objective standpoint. Steve Smith is, what would you say, at least, I mean, I know he's high up in the ranks as far as total yardage, but would you say he's one of the best receivers in the top 10 of the NFL, history in the NFL?
Yeah, I think there's an argument for that. Like, look up the stats, but I think so. And on a team that didn't have a quarterback for 3 years.
Well, you can make that same argument for Cam for his tenure here, but I was going to say, I mean, he had one, Cam Newton. I don't think you could really put him in the top 10 of.
He had the triple crown, dude. Smitty had a triple crown. He led in yards, receptions, and touchdowns, and he was only 5'8".
Yeah,
5'9".
But I was just going to say, I'm just looking at it from purely, in history of the NFL. Steve Smith was one of the best in the history in the NFL at his position. Cam Newton is high up there, but he's not top 10. And I don't think there's an argument that can be made that he was a top 10 quarterback in the history in the NFL.
Cam Newton is the answer to this question, and it's not even close to me. Steve Smith didn't do half of what Cam Newton had to do for this football team, and how he had to elevate literally everyone around him, and then got all the blame when things didn't go his way. I think everyone's too ready to write off Cam Newton. I think that Steve Smith was an incredible football player, but I think that he still had some gas left in the tank, and I still think Cam does too. I think Cam Newton brought this team to a Super Bowl on the back of an MVP season. And again, like, if we're picking, I think that no one has ever put the Carolina Panthers on the stage that Cam Newton has. And I think it's not even close. I'm casting my vote for Ace Boogie, baby. Come on.
I think it's almost an unfair question to a certain extent, because it's kind of hard to compare just a quarterback to a wide receiver, because
like the MVP, right? Like the MVP of the NFL, 9 times out of 10 goes to a quarterback, right?
Exactly. You're not going to win wide receiver MVP as a wide receiver. I mean, you're probably not going to win. Well, once, okay, but how many years has the NFL been around? Could be given the MVP around. That's what I'm saying.
It should.
And the thing is too is Cam Newton had much more opportunity to affect games than Steve Smith did. But when it comes down to it, if you're just talking about strictly best athlete for their position, I'd have to say Steve Smith was a better wide receiver than Cam Newton was a quarterback. Even though I love Cam Newton as a quarterback, Steve Smith's number 8 all time in yards.
Yeah, but that's not the
wide
question.
receivers. Well, that means at his position, what he does, he performed better than Cam.
But
Cam's not going to finish top 8 in anything in his career.
If the question is going to be based that way, this is no knock on Tony. If the question is going to be based who's the best offensive player, you've got to level the playing field, right? You can't. If that was the case,
like Red talking about that is he a top 10 quarterback versus a top 10 receiver in the history? I kind of like that analogy because you can't compare an apple to an orange.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're talking about most important, and that's what I said, if you're talking about the most important player in the Panthers' history, Cam Newton, 110%, right? But if you're talking about the most
superstar, the best, all these other things,
the best offensive player, like to level the playing field, if those are the two options, you've got to look at it from that objection. Like if you're talking about if you had a pick of 10 wide receivers and 10 quarterbacks, Steve Smith is going to be on that 10 wide receiver. Cam Newton is not going to be on that 10 quarterbacks. And I know that might be objective, but in my opinion, if you look at it, Tom Brady in his prime, Peyton Manning in his prime, Joe Montana, we can go all the way down, and there are a lot of great quarterbacks, and I don't think that
we should. How about this? We should almost ask the question: is which one of those guys is more underrated?
Mm-hmm.
Well, is that because Steve Smith will not be on the list of top 10 because people don't think about him that way.
Yeah.
All right. So
what I want to put out there real quick, Tony, is Steve Smith did it with no matter who was throwing to him. Cam Newton,
that's not true. That's not true because he didn't do it with Clausen. He didn't do it like he could. Sadly, he was sorry in those couple of years.
In 2010.
Jake Delhomme was good enough to get him.
Right at it.
Jake Delhomme was the best. I was about to ask you who's the best quarterback in Panthers history. No, I'm not
Cam Newton.
All right, here's the next one. All right, we are voting now for Minister of the Interior, best defensive tackle, Panthers almost history. I am taking K1 Short out of the equation. I'm taking a couple of guys out. You have two choices. You have to vote for Chris Jenkins or Star Lotulelei. I think this is a landslide in favor of Chris Jenkins, who was just the bomb diggity, who then went on to have a fantastic career with the New York Jets. It's kind of an unfair question to me, but I was going back and I was trying to think of best defensive tackles. And we're talking Jenkins, Starr, and KK are among that bunch. Cast your vote. Let's move along.
I'm casting my vote for Starr, even though I think.
Oh, that's because you're a baby, you're a child.
No,
Chris Jenkins was the fucking giant.
Chris Jenkins was flashier and was better at rushing the quarterback, but I think Starr was more important to those defenses that he was a part of, and that's so much of our ability to let Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis play fast came through Star Lotulelei and what he did on that defensive line. And again, like flashy, numbers, you go Jenkins. But I think Starr is like one of those unsung heroes.
Better NFL player, you go Jenkins. All right. He votes Starr, I vote Jenkins. Who you guys got?
I got Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean he single-handedly beat the Bucks that year. And all right, who you got, Greg?
Yeah, I'm just comparing their stats right now. I got to go Jenkins too.
Jenkins like Hall of Famer. All right. I had more images, but now we can't go images. I do want to ask you this. All right, I have more questions too, but we're gonna cut it short a little bit. How about this? Better Super Bowl, 2003. Or 2015.
2003.
Cast your vote.
Don't even have to.
It's a sweep.
It's a sweep. It's a sweep. It looks like Reagan against Carter right now.
Yeah, dude, at least we were in that one. Like that one was competitive.
We should.
Well, we were in the 2015 one. We were in that. We weren't even in that. We made a great comeback. It was one of the most. It was the 2003 is one of the top Super Bowls in history. And to be honest, if we've had good Super Bowls since 2003, but the narrative back in 2003 was that Super Bowls were kind of bum games. That like they weren't that exciting? It was just like sometimes they would be like 6-3, 9, whatever. And then this was one of the most exciting NFL Super Bowls, and maybe it's because I was a Panther fan, but I agree with you guys. A sweep for that.
Mm-hmm. One last thing to say on that, and then we'll move on. Is that was considered one of the best Super Bowls? The 2015 was considered one of the worst.
Yeah.
Wow.
And plus,
I would not agree. It's just because people don't like defense. That's why.
And how about how it's so much more embarrassing? Like, it's not embarrassing to lose to an in his prime Tom Brady. We lost to the corpse of Peyton Manning.
Tom Brady wasn't in his prime. He was a baby. He just came off the bench then, bro. Like, he hadn't even played one season yet.
You know what irritates
that was
me
his
about-
second? But that was his first or second Super Bowl?
That was his second Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was already a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
That was yeah, but he was a Super Bowl winning quarterback his first year with like 120 yards.
Yeah,
and he didn't win that first Super Bowl.
But look at what he would go on to do, man. We're talking about a young Tom Brady versus the corpse of Peyton.
You know what pisses me off about that Super Bowl, or not so much that Super Bowl, is when everybody talks about on different radio shows and everything about Tom Brady and the ones he could have lost. They never bring that one up. Never, ever, ever bring the Carolina one up. They bring up
he couldn't lose it. As soon as we gave him the ball, we knew it was over.
Well, thanks to John Casey.
All right, how about this? Best playoff game, Panther history.
Oof.
I gotta say, all right, I'm gonna give you two choices, and you can have a write-in.
Okay.
The best playoff game, 2003, the upset, the comeback over the Rams, or the NFC Championship against the Arizona Cardinals in 2015. My vote is for the Rams. That game is super exciting. I was at the NFC Championship. Best game of my life. Like, it was just best sporting experience of my life. My vote goes to the comeback, the Cardiac Cats on the road in St. Louis, taking over, against what was it, what they used to call them? The fastest show on turf, greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
All right, what's your cast your vote real quick?
That's such a hard one because I think I was so excited after the Arizona one, but it wasn't an exciting game. We just destroyed them, right? It was not even
it was exciting if you were there. It was great.
Exciting, if you were there. But from a purely like the best game from start to beginning, it's got to be that Rams. I mean, double overtime and then have it to be that one play that will always go down in history as one of the greatest plays in Panthers history. I mean, come on now.
All right, cast your vote, guys. We gotta go quick. I gotta go. I should have been gone an hour ago. I got two more I gotta ask too. By the way, they have to be asked.
Okay.
Great. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. I was thinking about it. Yeah, I had to say that Rams game too, 2003. I could bring up another honorable mention at 2003 against the Eagles. That game that they played, I think it was the game before that, where Manning had 3 interceptions. That was a great game to watch too. But yeah, the two you gave me, I got to pick that Rams game, 2003.
I'm picking the Cardinals, man. That was the pinnacle of Panther fandom for me. That was the crescendo of that incredible season. Watching us go to a team to a Super Bowl with Super Cam, to me, that's the highest I've ever been as a Panthers fan. So I can't. I know the Rams play was legendary, but I can't put anything.
Well, and that's the thing. You didn't experience it as a Panthers fan at that point in time. So you're to be forgiven for that. That's 100%. I can't disagree with your pick there.
How about this? Next question: best defensive player in Panther history. There's a lot of good players to talk about, from Thomas Davis to Mike Minter to Sam Mills, but I've narrowed it down. What I believe are the two most important, the best of their positions: Julius Peppers and Luke Kuechly. My vote goes to Julius Peppers on the qualification that we take in the entirety of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Not just his time with the Panthers. And I'm not even trying to limit Luke Kuechly because his career was shortened. I'm just saying if you just look at Peppers' career as a Panther, it's part of it. He had a whole half another career. Greatest defensive player for the Panthers is my vote. But qualification, I think I might have a caveat and say Luke Kuechly, greatest defensive Panther.
Luke Kuechly was the greatest defensive Panther because he was only a Panther. And again, man, like it goes back to this thing, like Julius Peppers did a ton for us, and defensive end is incredibly important.
Peppers gets a gold jacket, man. Luke Kuechly doesn't.
Dude, I don't think that Julius Peppers did more. And listen,
he's
okay,
third in all-time sacks. All-time sacks. All-time sacks. Third in the history of football.
No one is shitting on that. But the collective amount of game planning and scheming up opposing offenses that Luke Kuechly just did for better than a decade, you're going to tell me the guy
Peppers
that
did that for 2 decades, homie.
Is more than Luke? Listen, I know that's your boy. I know that's your boy. You that's your guy since forever. I know. But dude, I'm rocking with 59, bro.
Wrong. This is bad. I voted the other way. I'm voting for Peppers.
Yeah. I got to go with Peppers too. He's probably my favorite athlete there's ever. To be honest with you,
I'm with you, bro.
He's probably my favorite athlete ever, man. Awesome guy, and it's a longevity thing. I think had Luke played 6-7 more years or played, finished a longer career, it would have been him hands down. I think that he would have surpassed what Julius.
Sure. So would Bo Jackson if he would have played a billion years, right?
Yeah. So for Luke, it's not a matter of him being bad. It's just a matter of, Peppers did it twice as long as him, and up until he retired, Peppers was still a dominant force.
All right.
Not well.
CK, you can break it. Break this. It's 2-1. Just put it over top.
You're gonna hate me because I'm gonna leave it as a tie here, and I'm gonna tell you why. If we're talking strictly Panthers, right? There has not been a defensive player that has done more for the Carolina Panthers than Luke, right? And take this out of the equation too. Pep chose to leave Carolina. We wanted him. He chose to leave us.
Yes.
For a long time until he was on the back end of his career and he could get this nice welcome home. Pep chose to go away from Carolina. He did not want us. So I think that's fair to put that into the category. Luke put his entire career here, granted short as it may be. If you look at it if we're talking about who's the greatest player to ever wear a Panthers uniform, then certainly take in the longevity of Pep's career and then go about it that way. But right now, the best Panthers defensive player we've ever had, Luke Kuechly.
Is Luke.
It's a very fair argument. I mean, you're not wrong. It's just a different way.
All right. Okay. Next question. Better linebacker group. All right. The better line there's 3 of them. Well, I'm going to leave. God, I can't do this right. How about this? Thomas Davis and John Beeson together, or Dan Morgan and Will Witherspoon.
I'll take this one. John Beeson and Thomas Davis together in their prime, because John Beeson, when he played with us before we got rid of him,
when he was the top, when he was not hurt, he was better than Thomas Davis, bro. He was so sick.
You want to know why I don't like that argument? Because John Beeson and Thomas Davis wasn't the Thomas Davis we recognized as being the great linebacker. So you can't we think of Thomas Davis as when he was with Luke. Like when Thomas Davis was with John, it was not Thomas Davis that you guys remember from the years of Luke.
That's true.
Oh, 10 said Pep played 9 years, Luke played 8.
That's for the Panthers only, though.
Right, that's the question.
But we're not. But that's not what the question was. Is greatest defensive player.
On the
I think you have to take into account other parts of their career.
Luke has never played for anyone else, and the only reason Pep did
Well,
was
that's
because
he retired, dude.
How do you know next season, after this season, he wasn't going to say, screw it, I'm getting out to it? Or David Tepper wouldn't have gotten rid of him because he doesn't.
Right, but I'm saying you can't say that Julius Peppers is a better Panther all-time defensive player than Luke when Luke was only a Panther and Greg Hardy chose to leave. You can't give him credit for what he did in Chicago and Green Bay.
Last one, I could ask these all night. I got a bunch of them, and I'm not going to ask anymore, but I was going to say this.
Yeah, you did this. Don't bitch at me. You did this.
That's right.
Best third Panthers receiver.
Third?
I got the
Would
options.
that be Ricky Pro or Curtis Samuel? And it's Ricky Pro, bitches. It ain't even close.
Oh, yeah.
In the stream.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be Pro until we get some.
Here, let's play one more call or two, and let's go. We go fast.
What's going on, C3 Nation? This is your boy Jay Anderson.
What's up, Jay?
Hitting y'all up. Man, I hope y'all doing good. Hope y'all doing good. Hope y'all being safe. One thing I want to say, man. I watched the whole round table. I'm glad that y'all did that, man. I was looking forward for that, man. It was good. Hopefully y'all can do that. I don't know how y'all how y'all gonna do it. I mean, I'm thinking like y'all can do it. The next one to be the end of the season, then do the draft roundtable, then do the before
that's kind of the plan.
training camp.
I think that's a great
idea. Like however y'all want to do it, but I enjoyed it. It was good to see that all the YouTubers, we need that in Panther Nation. We need that. We need our content to be bigger and stuff like that. So
way to go,
glad
Jay.
y'all
I
did
agree.
that, man. I enjoyed the show.
Appreciate
one
it.
thing I want to get up. Another thing I want to get up on is the trade deadline. Everybody, I see a lot of Panther fans upset that the Panthers ain't make a move. The only thing I would say is I think we should have made a move not to get a player, but to get more draft picks and in the free more cap space and stuff like that.
Calls are top notch.
Right. You couldn't make a move to get no tight end. I was like, why? Like, you can find a tight end in the next draft or in the next free agent.
And obviously, we don't even need them.
If you want to make times when you make a booming trade is when you in that spot to make a elite to Super Bowl contender, like you going all out, like we did in 2015. But we're not in that spot. So hopefully, in the off season, they'll, find a way to get what they need and everything. But we didn't need to make no moves, like that. No big moves to get a player. Just only in draft picks. I thought we should have made a big move to get more picks.
Perfect.
All right, y'all.
Great call. I think that's great. I mean, I think we agree with all of it. We have fun on the round table. And second, Cody, you have been emphatic, and I have been an emphatic supporter of this, is that acquiring talent today is not what we're in the business of. Right. And it's not, that doesn't even mean that we're tanking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know. It just, that's not where we're in the business of right now.
I think they believe what they built so far.
Yeah. Is it really going and getting that? We're trying to dump, I wouldn't say we're trying to dump off people, but who you trade? You trade people their deals are ending. So you don't trade for Gilmore, and then well, Gilmore might have already gotten an extension, so you're just going to eat that money. But you don't trade for somebody that you then have to try to negotiate with.
We need to continue to build this football team to the draft. How about this? We just spent an entire draft on defensive players, and we still need a linebacker. We still need a corner. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it used to be, well, okay, now we'll do the exact opposite. We'll just go all offense. We can't even do that yet, man. We still have to fill out this football team. That's why I said I thought Curtis Samuel, I thought he could have gotten us at least a second round pick.
A third. It would have been
a second round pick, especially to a team that's contending. And you just trade for the single pick, a player for a second. It's not all this other stuff. It's just 1 second round pick.
All right, last call.
What up, C3 fam? It's your boy Mike, a.k.a. Supreme.
What's up, Mike?
Hope y'all are doing well on this fine Tuesday. I got called in for some extra overtime tonight. I'll try to tune in if I can. Well, out here riding these roads in these big old trailers.
Make that money, homie. Make that money.
I wanted to pose a question. And also just note that, I see the pattern going on with teams kind of, catching on to what we're doing. That's what good NFL teams do, right? Except for Atlanta's punk ass. They figured out what Teddy likes to do, how this offense likes to run, and now they're gonna attack it. So, what I wanted to ask is, so it seems pretty obvious now that the Jets are likely gonna get that number 1 pick, and even with Darnold, I think they would be stupid to pass on Lawrence if given the chance, unless there's somebody out there they may need that's really good, but I doubt that'll happen. What do you think about bringing Darnold over? He's he was supposed to be a good quarterback coming out, and he got sent to the Jets, and he's dying out there. I think he could have a rebirth here, and we could trade for him. He's not ideal, but we need another option. What do y'all think about that?
I think Darnold's going to become like a Josh Rosen play. Thanks, Mike, for the call. I think he's going to kind of be like a Josh Rosen. Is that maybe? And I don't think Josh Rosen's going to have a resurgence. He never had a surgence, but you don't trade for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of pick that trash and you clean it, you polish it off. You find it's like a dumpster dive. At that point, I'm not saying he's done, but I don't think you go and you try to bank on it.
No, I mean, he's been in the NFL 3 years now. I'll say this, man. It's too easy just to say, oh, he's Josh Rosen. And like, this is where I go back into it matters where you get drafted. Dude, it doesn't matter if it was Darnold. It doesn't matter who you put up there. With what they were doing and with Adam Gase as a head coach.
Say that about Rosen,
they
too?
were going to suck. Yes, and it matters. That's my point. It matters when you go to a place that has incompetent coaching staff and an incompetent organization. Now, I wouldn't sign Sam because he's been in the NFL 3 years already. But, I do think that he had talent, but I think it was squandered. Now, there might be some talent there left to have. But, again, you're banking on being able to pull that out of him 3 years into his NFL career. So it's like, I don't know if that's a gamble you're willing to take, but he was more talented than Josh Rosen.
All right, fellas, on that. Comment quickly.
Yeah, let me say, how long has Darnold been in? 2 years, 3 now? Or is this his second year? Or is
3? They came in the same time, 2000.
Okay, so Sam Darnold had Robbie Anderson all of those years. Robbie Anderson already has more receptions this year in 8 games than he did all 16 with all 3 years he had in the Jets. And the most yards he had was 941. He already has 688 with the Panthers. You really want to bring Sam Darnold here?
They were double teaming.
Yeah, but you got to remember Darnold.
He didn't have
Darnold had mono. He had. I mean, he's actually been pretty injury prone.
That's right. He had COVID. No,
okay. And he was their number 1.
Did you want a 26-year-old guy?
Anything to say on it, CK?
What is it?
Anything to say on Darnold?
No. I don't think either. I don't think anybody's gonna be gung-ho about Darnold. I think he's gonna be a project. I think a really good move for them would be to trade him to the Colts.
All right, C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can follow me at cat_chronicles. We're here Tuesday night, live, 9 p.m., longest running Panthers podcast. The number is 252-228-5098. Now we got to ice some fools up. I will go first. Pushing this along, I'm going to ice up this. I'm going to ice up vote shamers. And what I mean by a vote shamer is someone who stands up and says, if you didn't vote, I don't respect you. If you didn't vote, you might as well unfollow me. If you didn't vote, you this. And look, is that I want to encourage people to be part of their own republic. We're a republic. We're not a democracy, but part of the democratic process. I want people to be educated and concerned, but I think that's an incomplete sentence. I think it's incomplete. I think people should say this: is I almost wonder is encouraging people to vote without any insight. And I'm not saying they don't have any insight. Like, I mean, they have insight into their society. But I think you should say this. I think you should say, get to know your candidates and vote. And if you don't do that, unfollow me. That kind of thing. Is that here? I just don't know if blind voting is better than not voting. And so I'm not going to shame people who blind vote. And I'm not going to shame people because I think this is even for someone who is, I think, overall decently educated, someone who tries or at one point used to try to keep up with crap. It's difficult to find out what your candidates, what your judges, what these people really stand for. I skip people. I didn't, you know what? And here, you can vote shame my ass. I did not vote in the presidential election. I skipped it.
How dare
I voted for governor. I voted for senator. I voted for all positions that I had an opinion on, but I could not vote for one man, in my opinion, because he's just a bull. I won't say a bully. I don't like. Well, yeah, that like I don't like the person, and on the other side, I don't like the policy. So I couldn't vote for anybody. And I guess I could have just thrown my vote away even more with a libertarian vote. So here, I'm icing up vote shamers. You are just as bad as true fan shamers. That's right. Ooh, ice up.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know, I could ice up a bunch of different people politically, but instead, man, I'm going to take a left turn. And want to say, I voted for Kanye. Fuck all y'all, Kanye West 2020, bro. That's what I'm really on.
You're part of that 4%,
bro. Hey, man, instead of a stimulus,
if it's 4%, that would be awesome. It's bro, like the most successful.
He's at 4%.
Instead of a stimulus,
in the pre-polls, yeah.
Instead of a stimulus, we're all gonna get a free pair of Yeezys, and you're gonna be able to flip that on the internet instead of 700, get you a few thousand, whatever, man. Vote Kanye 2020. I'm icing up the raccoons that live in my neighborhood, bro. They're like a pack of gangsters, dude. Dude, they go from house to house, and literally my house, our neighbor's house, we'll wake up in the morning and the fucking the dumpsters and the recycling bins have just been turned upside down. Trash everywhere, man. Dude, they are a band of thugs, and I don't feel safe. You know, that's why I'm not a fan of the whole defund the police thing, man, because there's some wild raccoons out here, bro.
You gotta fund animal control, homie.
Yeah, fund them animal police, bro. It's hard out here in the streets, man. These raccoons are dangerous. I don't feel comfortable out at night. I make sure never to have my wallet on me. It's a problem, bro. To these Charlotte area raccoons, bro, y'all need to chill out. Right. Ice up, son.
Hit them up with an ice up, guys.
All right. CK, you got one? Here we go.
You go ahead.
All right. I can't remember the name of the hurricane that came through.
Was it Zeta?
Zeta. Yeah, that might have been. I was something weird like that. I'm icing up a Hurricane Zeta. I was out of power for about a day, and that wasn't even the biggest deal. Knocked down 3 trees in my yard, and that's not even a big deal. I've been working on a shed for about 5 months. Just got the shingles on, and I'm almost done with the shingles. Just got to build the doors and paint, and I'm done. Guess where a tree fell?
On the shed.
On my shed.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't that big of a tree. It didn't really do a whole lot of damage. I can repair it pretty easily. But yeah, for that hurricane, I'm icing you up. A lot of people that are in the city were out of power for days and days and days. Luckily, it was only one for me. But yeah, you had to drop a tree on my damn shed.
By the way, Blake Bettis said Thieves Avenue in response to my
That's good. CK, what you got?
It's going to be along the lines of the voting as well, because I think that and I'll ice up my wife even, in this regard. My wife was asking me who I'm voting for, and I told her I'm going Libertarian because I couldn't, that was the only person I was looking at that I honestly could say I could stand seeing in office, right? After doing research and everything we all want to try to do, that was, and she basically told me I was throwing my vote away, right? There was no point. You might as well vote for Trump. And then I said, but here's the problem, right? I'm taking a stand that I feel, pretty strongly about. I don't like Trump, granted, I do typically tend to lean that direction of conservative. Don't like him. He's too divisive. He does not unite the country. Biden, I don't like the fact that I'm not sure he's actually capable of thinking very deeply at this point in time.
It's like a pawn or puppet we're worried about.
He doesn't.
Now.
He feels empty.
Like there's worries we have. Yeah, there's concerns.
Everyone is basically voting for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. That's really the situation, and that's another divisive pick, right? That's very divisive.
She was good in all those Senate hearings, though. She was good, but I don't feel like they've been good in policy. But anyway.
But nonetheless, to tell some, like, if you are strictly voting because you consider yourself Republican or you consider yourself a Democrat and you have no other reason than doing it. If you're a Christian person, right? That's what my wife's argument was. Donald Trump passes Christian values, right? He's trying to get prayers back in school, all this stuff. I'm like, have you met the guy? Do you really believe this guy cares?
Actually,
about
do
religion?
not let your wife is all right looking. Do not let her around Donald.
No. And that's what I said. But let's be honest. He was in a reality show because he was not a good person. Because he is an asshole. Does he seem like a forgiving Christian person?
Them by the pussy, yo.
Yeah. Let's be honest about some stuff. So I got frustrated with that, and I had to basically have a conversation with her and my sister-in-law, who were both trying to shame me into voting for Donald Trump, because if I vote anything else, I'm just voting for Biden. I'm like, if everybody thinks that way, you're absolutely right. 100%. You're always going to be right. If you only have the option of the two-party system, then that's going to be the case. The problem is this country was never meant to be a two-party system democracy. It was always intended to be multi-party because that is the only way you actually get your voice. There is no possible way that every view you have is on one person's radar. They cannot hold every view you have. It's just not possible. Right?
There's kind of an irony in the idea that you have to vote for something you don't like because you don't like something else worse.
That's the reason we're supposed to have checks and balances. That's why when you have a Senate,
it's kind of like, do you vote on
it's like having a
come on your face rather than swallowing. Yeah. Well, I don't want either. Can I not vote for either, please?
But I like
and I don't like that idea. That I didn't want to. And just all right. But sorry, CK, I'm stepping.
The irony of it all, and then we'll wrap it up after this. The irony of it all is, the people that want to have this same mentality. A lot of the Republicans, for instance, I'm icing up the people I would most likely side with on a lot of different policies, right? They're the ones that are saying, like, for instance, the gun aspect of things, right? We can't change the Constitution. It was meant to be about this. It was meant to be about that, which I agree with, right? That was written up before ARs were invented, but it was also written up before governments had nukes, right? So, I think that still can be interpreted into today's society, but you're also the same people that are saying that two parties are the only thing that can exist when that Constitution was never meant to be a two-party process. It was not created that way. So in one hand, you're using the Constitution as a crutch, but you're also then using the exact same pillars the Constitution was built on as, just throwing those away, saying that that's not valid. There's irony in it. And it's just insane. And people refuse to acknowledge it. I'm just icing up anybody who refuses to have any independent thought and doing things that you truly believe in, as opposed to what is being forced upon you because your party is associated with Republicans.
Wouldn't it be great if you could cast a vote for somebody rather than a vote against someone?
Right.
Yeah. Listen, wouldn't that be a wonderful world where I could vote for someone because I believe they can be good,
not voting for them because they're the worst of shitheads, or the
That's why I didn't vote for Joe Biden, because all he does is
the presidential.
all he does is stab. All the Democratic elites do is stab progressives in the back, and then shame us when we refuse to vote for their fucking neoliberal policies.
Snowflakes.
Are y'all keeping up with this, by the way, as we're going?
We gotta go. All right, I gotta go. My wife is like this. She's watching the commentary about the presidency, and she wants someone to talk to. She's like, in this fucking podcast, she has not said this. I told her it was going to be a short podcast, and it's 2 hours and 15 minutes later. We love you guys. We love Panther Nation. Call into the show. Subscribe. Cody Lash, where can they find you on Twitter?
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC, for all bunch of Panthers Twitter hot takes and a brand new mock draft tomorrow on draftat.com featuring a certain quarterback.
Greg Manamini podcast, and The Mandalorian you thought was awesome, and I thought it was a cheesy ball of shit made by Disney. Go ahead. How can they find your compliments of Disney's steaming pile of shit?
I hear you. Find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter.
That's
just
a
check
little
out
harsh.
The Geek Ultimate. Just check out the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. You can find all the shows I'm on. Check me out this Saturday. We're doing a trivia challenge for the Geekverse podcast, live 24-hour stream. That's a charity event trying to raise money for BC Children's Hospital. So check us out. Donate if you can. Share, like, whatever you can do. But we're gonna win that trivia contest. It's gonna be fun.
CK, man of live streams, and also #1 rated watcher of himself, I believe he put. What was that?
#1 rated spectator in the game.
Okay. Where are you streaming at?
I am streaming on Facebook.com, fb.gg. You can find me most nights. Tonight I'm going to be streaming Phasmophobia, so I'm about to get my ass scared tonight. So if you guys are interested in seeing some hilarious gameplay that's going to result in me saying a lot of curse words and screaming, then tune in tonight.
All right. God bless America. And if you don't believe in God, then I just mean bless America. And if you don't believe in any of the politics, believe in this. Is the Atlanta Falcons suck a giant D. We'll see you next Tuesday, folks. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.